Tertullian versus the Monarchians. All the information taken for this video is from the letter that Tertullian wrote against Praxeas. I believe strongly that Trinitarians have not read or studied the writings of the Ante-Nicene Fathers. They have studied books about the Fathers, but they have never taken time to really sit down and study what the Ante-Nicene Fathers were saying, especially Tertullian. This is a good example. Tertullian was fighting not only against Praxeas, but according to what he wrote, he was fighting against the majority of believers who all believed the same, and they were also very startled by the teaching of a Trinity. He says that the majority of believers are startled at the dispensation of the 3 in 1. This is an eye-opening statement because the early believers were Jewish monotheists and they did not believe in a Trinity. So when Tertullian and other fathers were teaching this doctrine, the majority of people did not like it. And they would argue with Tertullian and everyone else that they were teaching, that Tertullian was teaching that there was 2 gods or 3 gods. That was their argument. And that they also said that God could not be divided. And so that they were called Monarchian by Tertullian and others because they stood for the sole government of God and that God was God alone. That was the rule of faith that they held strongly. So when the Trinity came along, they rejected it wholeheartedly because it did not go with the scriptures. Tertullian stated that the majority were constantly throwing at him or accusing him of teaching 2 gods and 3 gods. And Tertullian even writes that they compared him to Valentinus, the Gnostic, because he was teaching emanations, which he called prolations. And his argument was that truth can imitate heresy and it is okay, but it is not okay. Praxeas was not a heretic. He represented the entire majority of believers. Listen to this. Nor is the Father the same as the Son in such a way that both of them should be one, and one or the other should be both, an opinion which the most conceited monarchians maintain. This is proof here that the majority of Christians were not Trinitarian. They were monarchian or believed in the oneness of God. So what the writing of Tertullian is teaching us is that the Trinity was not accepted at first by all the majority of believers, but it was rejected, and only the Catholic fathers were the one pushing this doctrine. But the majority of believers, like Praxeas, were oneness believers that rejected the dividing of the monarchia or the dividing of the government of God into 3.